Hello, mathematicians. Today we're going to be learning about one-step equations. And in this video, we have integers, so we're going to have both positive and negative numbers, whereas the video before only focused on whole numbers. So here I have an addition problem. I have x plus negative 5 is equal to negative 12. Now, even though this is an addition problem, just be mindful of the fact that we have negative 5 here. So this is actually the same as x minus 5 is equal to negative 12. So in order to isolate my x and get rid of this negative 5, I actually have to add 5 because this is technically a subtraction problem. And then whatever I do on the left side, I have to do on the right side. So here I have x by itself, and x is going to equal to negative 12 plus 5. And so be mindful that the 12 is negative. So if we're combining a negative and a positive, we're going to subtract. 12 minus 5 is 7. And we're going to keep the sign of the number with the greatest absolute value, which is 12. So here I have x is equal to negative 7. If you would like to rewrite this as a subtraction problem and then solve it, by all means, it's the same thing. So here I have x minus negative 3 is equal to negative 2. So here, same thing. I have two negatives. And the opposite of negative 3 is actually positive 3. So this is actually the same thing as x plus 3 is equal to negative 2. Technically making this an addition problem. And if I want to isolate x and get it by itself, I'm going to have to subtract by 3 on both sides. So these cancel out, and I end up with x is equal to, here I have negative 2 minus 3. I have two numbers with the same sign, so I add them, and I keep the negative sign, okay, because it's negative 2, and then you're taking away an additional 3, so I end up with negative 5. So down here I have multiplication. I have negative 2x is equal to 24. And in order to get the x by itself, I'm going to have to divide because division's the inverse operation. I'm going to divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. And remember that negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. And I don't have to write the 1 because 1x is the same thing as x equals 24 divided by negative 2 is negative 12, because a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive divided by each other gives you a negative, so I end up with negative 12. And here I have x divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 8. And since that's division, the inverse operation is multiplication. I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2 because I'm trying to isolate the x. So if I multiply this by negative 2, I have to do the same thing on the right side. Negative 8 times negative 2. So here, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1. So x is equal to negative 8 times negative 2, which is 16, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Now, if I wanted to go back and check my answers, all I would have to do is substitute. So here, if I wanted to go back to my original problem, I would have negative 7 plus negative 5, and a negative plus a negative is a negative, so that equals negative 12. And the shortcut here is to add the negatives and then keep the negative sign. So negative 7 plus negative 5 is negative 12. And that's what our original problem said, so this is true. Here I have x minus negative 3 is equal to negative 2, and we have come to find out that it's negative 5. So negative 5 minus negative 3, which is the same thing as negative 5 plus 3, is equal to negative 2, and that's also true. Here I have negative 2 times x is equal to 24. Negative 2 times negative 12 is equal to 24, so that's also true. And here I have x divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 8. 16 divided by negative 2 is equal to negative 8, so this is also true. Here in this word problem, Joseph has X dollars of debt after he bought a new pair of sneakers. He paid off $45 of the total cost of the sneakers, but still owes $132. How much debt did he have when he bought the sneakers? So again, Joseph has X dollars of debt. We don't know how much the sneakers cost, but whatever amount they did cost was his debt. He paid off $45. So here I'm going to discount $45 of his debt. So take away $45 of his debt. And then he still owes $132. So he's still in debt of $132. And here we know that two negatives like this is a positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. And another way you could think of it is the opposite of negative 45 is positive 45. So x plus 45 is equal to negative 132. And here I end up with an addition problem. And in order to isolate the x, I'm going to have to subtract both sides by 45. So minus 45 minus 45. So this cancels out. I have my x by itself. X equals, now here I have two negatives. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine them. If we have two negatives like this, we could add and then keep the negative sign. 2 plus 5 is 7. 3 plus 4 is 7. And 1 plus 0 is 1. So, and then keep the negative sign. So we know that his debt was $177, which was how much the sneakers cost. If we wanted to go back and check our work, we could do negative 177 minus negative 45, which is just plus 45, is equal to negative 132. And if we add 45 to negative 177, that is true. So that's how we know we did our work correctly. And so how much debt did he have when he bought the sneakers? So he was $177 in debt when he bought the sneakers. So here in this word problem, Jeff has X cookies and then ate 8. He now has 19 cookies. How many did he start off with? So Jeff has X cookies. He then ate 8. So two ways we could represent this as x plus negative 8 or x minus 8. Just be mindful that they're the same thing. Is equal to 19 because that's how many he has down. And so in order to isolate our x, I could simply add by 8 to both sides. X is equal to 19 plus 8 is 8 plus 9 is 7. Bring up the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 27. So he started off with 27 cookies. If we wanted to go back and check, we would do 27 minus 8 is equal to 19. We can certainly substitute it to the first one as well, and it should give us the right answer. However, this is enough. And since this is correct, we know that he started off with 27 cookies. So here Liam swam X meters below sea level. Jack swam 4 times further below sea level compared to Liam. If Jack swam 20 meters below sea level, how far did Liam swim? So we know that Liam swam X meters. And we know that Jack swam 4 times further below sea level compared to Liam, so 4 times what Liam swam, and he swam 20 meters below sea level in total, which is negative 20 because it's below sea level. And so if we want to find out how much Liam swam, we have to solve for x because here we know how much Jack swam. So if I want to get x by itself, I'm going to have to divide by 4. Divided by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1x, or you could simply just write 1. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5. That means that Liam swam 5 meters below sea level. And with that being said, if we wanted to go back and check our work, we would do 4 times negative 5, and that equals negative 20. So we know that this is true. And so Liam swam 5 meters below sea level. And that's it. So here, Danny has accumulated debt, and his 2 friends offered to help him pay it off. So they will split it up evenly. They each end up paying $41. So Danny has debt. We are not sure how much, so we could use X to represent that. And his 2 friends offered to help him pay it off. So now his 2 friends are helping him, so that's in total 3 people. So his debt is being divided by 3 people. And they each end up paying $41. And we want to figure out how much his debt was initially. So here I have x divided by 3 is equal to negative 41 because that's how much of the debt each friend ended up paying off. And in order to get x by itself to figure out the original debt, we have to multiply by 3 on both sides because it's division and the inverse operation of division is multiplication. And here 3 divided by 3 is 1. So 1x is the same thing as x. And then here I have negative 41 times 3. A negative times a positive is a negative. And if I multiply 41 by 3, I end up with 123 because 40 times 3 is 120 and 1 times 3 is 3. So I get negative 123, which was the amount of debt he started off with. And if I wanted to check my work here, all I would have to do is negative 123 divided by 3. And that equals negative 41, so that's how I know I got the right answer. So, Danny accumulated $123 of debt. But luckily, his friends helped him pay it off.